Make sure that we say...
No, it should be interactive. Ask questions.
Proper language.
Yeah, proper language would be...
Also be careful that I'm the kind of guy who loves to make wisecracks and tell
Oh, that'll make it personable, right?
Well,
you guys are going
I'll
to
be
be reading that 10 seconds.
if you're appropriate, okay?
Really?
Yeah.
10 seconds? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Follow your spirit.
Oh, you ready? So welcome. We're going to be discussing business planning and goal setting today. This is Stacy's module that she wrote that's part of our boot camp, actually. But what we're going to do is talk today about what you've done this year and how you're hoping to make 2019 a different year and a better year in many ways. So we're really going to interactively discuss the challenges and successes that you've had to make you think about things. The module from the boot camp that I gave you will be a resource for you to use. We will be referring to it a couple of times during the class. So let's get going. Crafting your business plan, success in any market. My friend Katie Lance says, lean into who you are and who you are not. Meaning what we want to think about is what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. You can't be everything to everybody. So when you look back on this year and what you've done in real estate, think about what you felt you were good at, whether it's your branding, your showings, your listing presentation, your marketing. What were the things that you felt you did well at? And then think about what are the things that you feel you need more training in or you need improvement on. Let's start with the strengths for a minute. Know the areas that you strive in. Again, I just mentioned it. Is your branding clear and consistent in everything? How about your LinkedIn profile? When was the last time you looked at that to make sure that it's up to date? What areas do you currently shine in? Are you marketing? Are you doing lead follow-up? You know, things like that. Just think about the different aspects of your business and don't beat yourself up about it, but think about what you might do a better job at with help, and that's what I'm here for. What types of agents do you enjoy working with? Again, not to be everything to everybody. We have some people that enjoy working with seniors, some people that enjoy working with relos or military. I had a lady in another class say, jeepers, I just worked with a retired couple and a first-time home buyer in the same week, and I liked them both. So maybe you do, but think about that. What neighborhoods do you work in, and how are you marketing to them? We'll talk more about that in a little while. Positive traits, sales and marketing. What are you doing for marketing? Are you using improv? We will talk about improv in a minute as well. And lead follow-up again. As far as weaknesses, be honest with yourself. What are some of the things that you felt you could be doing better, such as action plans, following up with people, communication, a more thorough job of marketing? What are you telling people in your listing presentation that you are doing for them in marketing? The areas that you shine in will become integral in your marketing and your services. And then, all of this is to get you to think of how you've done business this year and how you might want to change it or improve it a little bit to make next year a better year for you. As far as the challenges, one of the challenges we all know that we've had has been the low inventory. So think about how that affects how you make a listing presentation, how you explain the low inventory to your sellers, and then think about how the low inventory is something that you explain to buyers who have been in so many multiple offer situations. Again, your scripts are very important. In Lair library, we have words that speak, which are scripts that you can use for every occasion. Opportunities, pinpoint areas of growth. So think about an area. For instance, I have a couple of new agents in Lowell, and we have 5 zip codes in Lowell. And so I said, well, think about an area that you think might not be well served, that you could go in and offer your expertise to people in a specific neighborhood or something like that. Local opportunities you can take advantage of so that you can grow your brand. Do you have an updated vision of where you see your business heading? This is the time of year when you want to step back and think about that. A business plan will help you stay on track through the year and help you to know if you are on track for positive growth. So if you look in the resources that I gave you on page 248, you will see some of these questions asked. And this is what this resource is for, to help you later on to answer some of these questions for yourself about your strengths, about your weaknesses, and just examine what have you done with your business and what do you think you could be doing a little better job with, a little different job, or a more thorough job. Okay.
Should we go around and
Oh, no.
do this
No,
now?
this
No.
is just for you to reference later on.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about how to plan your best year ever. So having a market strategy means in whatever you do, how big or how small it is, you need to do it consistently. For instance, if you were going to market to a niche neighborhood, that means a neighborhood that you've zeroed in on to market to, don't just send one thing. You need to know that you're going to have a plan of attack of, let's say, 6 straight weeks of sending something, or sending one thing every 2 weeks for the next 6 times, whatever it is. But it's important to have some sort of strategy and think of how you're going to tackle that. We'll talk more about that in a minute, too. We're going to create, oops, sorry, I fast forwarded there. We're going to create a marketing plan. Sorry, we'll go back. There are 2 types of goals. When you think about how you want to start planning your year for next year, there are 2 types of goals: now goals and stretch goals. Now, your stretch goals are your lofty goals. Do you want to pay off a mortgage, pay off a college loan, pay off a car loan, things like that? In order to achieve those stretch goals, that's your vision board planning, you have to have the now goals. The now goals are your daily, weekly, monthly goals, your small goals that are achievable, because you want to be able to give yourself credit little by little, day by day, week by week, that I've accomplished something new. So if you make a goal that I'm going to cold call for an hour a day starting January 1st, that's going to be your new now goal. Or if you, we're going to talk about breaking down what you need to do in order to accomplish things. If I want to do $100,000 next year, how many leads do I need to convert? How many cold calls do I need to make? Those types of things. But by giving yourself tiny credits each day, I followed up with 5 people today, or I sent out 5 thank you notes, or whatever you did, or I got in touch with 5 past clients that I haven't talked to in a while. Wow, that's an amazing thing. That's going to be your now goal that's achievable, to give you some positiveness on a short-term basis to help you to want to move forward and make progress. This is a snippet of a market insight from Boston Logic, and to help you think about how you want to market to people. If you're thinking of something new that you want to do, what do people want to know? They want to know what their neighbor's house sold for, and that causes curiosity, and you're going to give them the information. So think about the neighborhood that you're marketing to. If you're not marketing to a neighborhood, pick a neighborhood that you want to market to. Your admin can help you pull those streets out of MLS. You can print the labels, so you can set up a marketing plan. I can help you with that. And you can say, here are the 5 things that have sold in your neighborhood last year. I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute. But give them that information, and I'll show you how that works. My friend Chris Smith says, change requires a blueprint. So make notes to yourself as you're stepping back and thinking of this year. Think of Did I do anything with my past clients? Do I have a niche neighborhood that I'm marketing to? If you don't, is this something you want to consider taking on and expanding in your business for 2019? How well did I follow up with the leads that I got? Did I have a plan that I put them on? Did I keep the communication going? So defining a market strategy, again, knowing how you're going to follow up with these people. Focus on a target market. Who is your target neighborhood? And how are you going to attract them, nurture them, and service them? That part there is all about your value proposition, what you're offering to the client that might be different and better than what someone else is doing. That's important. So the marketing tactics are: what will you do to improve your market knowledge? Build content, marketing strategy using targeted Facebook ads, developing a strong brand in social media. Your brand is really important. Have you updated your picture, your bio, your testimonials, things like that? Define the market niche and find the best way to interact with that community. The other thing is repurposing anything you create. Are any of you using Ross Mortgage?
Not actively. Yeah.
So when you do a listing, Ross Mortgage has a list report that comes out. It's an email that's sent to you immediately, and there's an entire page of programs and PDFs that they create for you that are utterly amazing. The open house report with the infographics is wonderful to use. And you can, the word repurpose means whatever you create, use it over and over. Don't just let it sit there. And you can post it on Facebook. You can send it to your clients, whatever you want to do. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This is an example of improv. Now, back to things that Lair provides for you for free. Improv is your complete marketing program. I say improv. It is also through Jostle. You can get there. It's called the Lair Marketing Center. Now, this is a flyer that I made, which is what we just talked about. I sent it to a neighborhood that I used to live in, and I said, here are the 5 or 6 things that sold in your neighborhood. Would you like to know what your home is worth? Now, the pictures that I have on the side of it are not pictures of those houses. They are just pictures that I chose from Pinterest, probably. I use Pinterest a lot because the pictures are free to use and allowable to be used. Also, 2 other sources for pictures for any of your flyers is Shutterstock and Unsplash. So you can use pictures from those sites. They're not copyrighted, so it's okay to use those. You never want to use someone else's MLS pictures. It's not allowable.
Okay, so what was the one that you used?
Pinterest.
Pinterest?
Yeah. And then Shutterstock is all one word. And then Unsplash is the new one. And this is a flyer that I made up in improv. So again, I gave the information of all of their neighbors' homes that have sold. I then said, would you like to know what your home is worth? And then at the bottom, I said, here is the complete marketing that I will provide. And you always want to say something like, I promise to give your home the thorough marketing that it deserves. See the heart tug there? To make them feel special, okay? Now, let's talk a second about database. Where do you have a database at the moment? Do you have Boston Logic?
No, I am using send out cards.
You have your entire database in there.
Yeah, well, I've kind of transferred it over from one that
Okay.
I'm still working on
Okay.
it. But actually I haven't really used Boston Logic for it. I just pretty much just have, my own kind of Excel sheet.
You have an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. And Joe, what do you have?
I'm really very, very technically challenged.
Okay.
And I'm having a lot of trouble with most of this.
Okay. So we can, actually meet. That has developed out of a lot of these classes, and I've set up individual meetings with people. And Joe, I'm more than happy to do that with you. The point I wanted to make by asking that question is that the program Improv is based on emails. So if you had somebody new in your life, all you need is first name, last name, and email. joesmith at gmail.com. And with that, you can do everything in improv. Now, the reason I say that is that's a little bit contradictory to when I work with new agents and they're developing a niche neighborhood, they may pull 10 streets that they're thinking of marketing to. And with that, you're going to have first name, last name, and address, but no email. So you can actually print these out. When you make up a flyer in improv, remember, that's free to you. You can print those out and you can actually mail those to the neighborhood.
Right.
So, I mean, this was
a flyer from.
This is a great January thing to do, to give them the information on what's happened in their neighborhood recently and then say, how can I help you? Now, the next thing we want to talk about is branding. So again, you want to make sure that your branding is up to date and correct. Look on page 241. And as far as the branding, again, you want your picture and your bio to be consistent. Are you the most knowledgeable person in that particular neighborhood? What information can you provide? How are you going to help them? We have a agent in our Westford office who does a response to leads, and he sends out a postcard drip campaign, and his branding is consistent in all of those. And by having your branding consistent, they're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this guy. Oh yeah, you remember that person. Right. So again, I'm showing you page 241 just as a reference to be thinking about all of these things. So next, the financial planning. We're not really going to go into that, and all of that is in the resource that I gave you. But you have a lot of expenses. This is another thing that you should think about. Are you getting leads from a company? What are you paying for that? What are you paying for your licensing? What are you paying for computer, telephone, car expenses? Sometimes we step back and look at programs that we've purchased that we are totally underutilizing. So you want to make a couple of points there. Number one, can you go back and look at those and say, wow, what parts of that program am I not using more fully? Or go back to the very beginning and say, what is Lair offering me that I could use the Lair programs for and not use this program that I'm paying for? Another thing that's really important nowadays with any program that you're paying for is to make sure, unless you want to, make sure you're not on automatic renew. A lot of companies will put you on automatic renew so that they just keep taking your money every year. But be careful about that. It's your money and your expenses and your bottom line. So when you look at what your commission is minus your expenses, that brings you, of course, down to your net. And again, there are several resources in this packet.
What do you know about smart agents, that type of marketing strategy?
They do the canned content.
No, they do the books. They have a lot of different books. They have books that focus on pretty much every aspect of real estate. Everything from expired listings, FSBOs, everything.
I'd almost like to say, and why? These are things you pay for?
These are actually books that are written by a particular author, but they can actually put your picture on the book, and they're kind of like a ghost author. Their name is hidden.
Oh, I see.
So it actually looks like it was a book from you. That you can send out to expires, you can send it to all kinds of,
but
people in your database.
You're paying for that.
Yeah, it's actually, just recently, I watched a webinar on it yesterday.
Wow.
And it's $97 a month, which is actually pretty reasonable.
What do you get for $97 a month?
Well, $97. They actually brand you with the books that you send out. They put a whole package. Like if you're focused, whatever you're focused on in your business, whether you're looking up expired listings and you want to focus on that, or if you want to focus on FSBOs, want to focus on a certain territory in an area, and you already have a database you want to send stuff out to.
Now, how much do they charge you for each book you send?
Each book I think was roughly averaged about $3 a book.
Oh, that's reasonable.
Yeah, they're just.
But and is it a
small.
commitment, a year commitment, or how does the $97
You
a
can
month
cancel
work?
any time. There's no contract. There's no commitment.
I guess I would say.
But I didn't know if you knew anything
No,
about it.
I never-
Stacy and some other agents from Lair
Yeah.
actually liked it on Facebook, and that's where I saw the ad on Facebook.
Really?
And I watched a seminar yesterday. It was
So,
very interesting.
I would carefully go back to, especially working with new agents, I'm always trying to tell them everything that we offer.
Right.
When Stacy wrote the book, How to Hire a Lion, she encourages us to use that in listing presentations, but it's also good for buyer presentations. Last year, I did classes on each of those chapters, and that's an amazing book that is Real
very
Estate 101 from soup to nuts. And that covers a lot of that. And I think that would almost be the same thing to send to your people. But I would send the things carefully, especially if you're working with expireds and FSBOs. We have a couple of people that are dwelling on those right now, which is a nice niche to concentrate on. But you have to be careful how you're spending your money with those. That's all I would say about
They
it.
include setting up your own website, getting you, a Facebook page,
Interesting. It's just another way to do things. Yeah. I think the important thing, and again, we're talking about looking at what you've done this year, looking at the money that you've spent, the things that you've spent the money on, and track how things are working for you. We had one gentleman who had bought a couple of programs that were actually falling all over each other. They were providing him with the same thing, and I pointed that out to him, and he canceled one of them. So you don't want duplication. And again, if improv, it's a great place to start. It's a full marketing program from flyers to just listed, just sold postcards to action plans. Not only action plans for your buyers, but for your past clients. It's a great place to start, and there's no cost to you for that.
Those, just sold. They don't have to be Lair sales, right? They can be anybody's sales.
Oh yeah.
Once it's closed, it's public record. So again, you could take that flyer that I did, put it in the format of a just sold postcard, and say, these are the homes that just sold in your neighborhood. That's a wonderful way to do it.
So it has to be the day after they sold.
No.
Well, they have to be after they sold.
Oh, certainly.
It can be
yeah.
sold within 6 months or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But Felicia can help us with all that too, right?
Yep.
She can.
So can't Matt.
Yep.
Right.
Now, in improv, when you get to the end of improv, there's a couple of ways that you can print postcards out. I do what's called a full bleed, and we have a wonderful printer right down the street, Carbon Colors, and I just send the PDF to him, and next day it's ready for me. So that's how I do it. I do know in improv we have a couple of companies that you can send it to. There's another place called MLSmailings.com, and you can do postcards through that. That's a good one. MLSmailings.com. You can do MLSmailings.com by two ways. You can either do it by what your budget is, or by how many households you want to reach, and they'll do a.
So that's right in Pinergy, right?
No,
it's a
MLSmailings.com is a separate website. Yeah.
What was the one you mentioned before that, right around the corner?
Well, Carbon Colors. I mean, anywhere you have a local printer, when you finish producing something in improv, you can send it to your printer as far as postcards. But also, when you're at the last page in improv, you can. There are two companies in there at least that you can just send it to, and they'll print it for you as well. So going back to everything that's in your resources, and making the best use of your money and knowing what you need to do, thinking about next year. So if you want to make $100,000 next year, what do you need to do to establish your day? How many calls do you need to make? How many leads do you need to convert? So if you want to do 20 transactions over 12 months, it's 1.67 sales per month. You know what I'm saying? However you think you want to do your business, or if you say, I made 50,000 this year, I'd like to double that next year. What do you need to do differently to accomplish that? Or how many leads did you get last year, and how many of those did you convert? And go back and look at, how did you set up a lead conversion program? How good were you at the follow-up? In improv, there is a program, the very first program that you see in the very first action plan is called the Lair Buyer Action Plan. We had one of the top executives of improv produce that for us, and that is the basic building a relationship program. Are you looking to buy or sell? Where are you looking to buy or sell? What price range do you think you're in? And then the next important question is, what's on your wish list? So lots of times the two different partners might have different ideas. One wants an extra bathroom, one wants a garage and whatever. So listen to what they're saying, and you're helping to build the relationship. But by putting them immediately on this action plan, they're getting something. Remember, we talked about marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. They're getting something on a consistent time base that helps you build the relationship with them.
That's with the campaigns you're talking
yep.
about?
Mm-hmm.
That just goes out automatically.
Yes,
right?
It does.
Lair, as far as my mind was hearing, Lair blank action plan.
Buyer.
Oh, okay.
Buyer.
Or it could be a seller action plan.
Yes, yep, and they have those in there too. Now, another thing, as long as we're talking about that, who do we forget the most? Past clients. So in improv, there's a couple of wonderful programs. And when you think about staying in touch with your past clients, you want to think about something that has nothing to do with culture or holidays. So there are a couple of programs in there. One I think is 4 times a year, and another one might be 12 times. And it's things like the time change, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, Halloween. It doesn't matter. It's just reminding them a couple of times a year that you're there for them. If they're at the water cooler at work talking to somebody who says, gee, I'm thinking of listing my house, and you go, I remember Joe. That's all you want. There's another one that Peter Boscheman in our Bedford, New Hampshire office uses, and it has the word finance in it. It's beautifully laid out, and that talks a little bit more about market reports, but it's nicely done. I will say, take some time to look at the content of improv. What I like about the content of improv is, for every piece of content, they have a visual across the top that has to do with whatever the wording is in the content, and all of your branding across the bottom. It's very nicely put together. Okay.
So we could use that in conjunction to Ross Mortgage, or...
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah,
it's just what I do is I take...
Improv sounds obviously has more detail than what the listing reports do. Right?
And it's free.
Right. Well, Ross Mortgage is free too, right? The listing reports.
Yeah, a little different format, a little different things. For instance, let's stick with past clients for a minute. What I do every January 1st is I take the past clients from that past year, I import them into improv, and on January 1st, put them on that plan. Then I know I'm done for the year with those past clients. I've done something with them.
So that's going to have, you're going to do something with that. By what you just did,
yes,
you would create something for the entire year?
It's already there in improv. I'm just assigning those clients to it very easily, and in one push of a button, they're going to get something 12 times during that year.
And you would be able to tell them when and what the subject matter is, whether it be time change, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. It's all in there. Yeah, go look at those when you get a chance to. Now, back to Jostle. Talk about the content, and that goes back to your book a little bit. I thought of that when you were mentioning the ghost book. There's so much content in Jostle that emulates like the FSBO and Expireds. look at Jostle, look in the library, look in Lair University, and start with that. And this slide is saying, do you have a listing presentation put together? Do you have a buyer presentation put together? So that if somebody calls you tomorrow and says, come do da-da-da, are you ready to do it? We have so much content in Jostle, and if you go into library and go into presentations, Stacy has put all of the presentations there. Again, the admin can help you with those to personalize them. You can actually take a couple of pages out if you don't want to use them, or add a few pages about you and your branding or whatever. I was with a lady yesterday who adds a lot of school and community information. Her niche is one particular town, and she's very knowledgeable about her town. So she adds that paper to her listing presentation and buyer presentation because she's good at it and understands that. But look at those.
It sounds like it's probably even better for a buyer presentation
yes,
than it would be a
absolutely.
seller. Yeah.
But you want the seller to know that when you're marketing his house, you are telling people how wonderful this town is to live in. Sure. So that's part of it too. Mm-hmm. So look at the listing presentations if you haven't done that, and make sure that you have something that's ready to use when you need to use it. Another thing is testimonials. Your testimonials should be up to date. They should be everywhere. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on your Facebook page? Are they on your website? When was the last time you asked for a testimonial and then posted it somewhere? The testimonials, going back to branding, the testimonials are talking about you. So it's not you branding yourself. The testimonial is branding you. Your clients are saying, this is a wonderful agent to work with. So you don't have to say, I'm a wonderful agent, this is what I'll do. Your clients are saying that for you. And that's a much better way.
You know, what does a brand new agent do for testimonials? They don't have any testimonials.
So going back to chapter 1 in Stacy's book, How to Hire a Lion, the first chapter talks about the full service agent and the full service company. So that's a great question. And I would say, talk about what our company can do for you. This is how we do complete service for you. This is how we market in your town. This is what we've done in your town, all those types of things.
And this is kind of the same thing as saying, God, I hope I haven't lost it. The same thing as, I guess we're going to have to forget that. If it comes back, I'll
That's
let
okay.
you know.
That's okay. That's okay. Also in improv, there's a trifold flyer. You could make up a personal flyer. Kiki has done that in English and in Spanish for her clients, just so that they know what she's all about, what her background is, what she will do for you, whatever it is. So thinking about that, again, we're trying to review what things we can do to improve, and that's in your resources. What are the 3 things that you could do to improve sales, referrals, and listings? And again, I would definitely say go into Jostle in the library, look at the presentations, go into Lair University and look at the modules on lead follow-up and on scripts. What are the 3 things that you could do to improve marketing, promotion, and advertising? And I would definitely say use all of the facilities that Lair is offering you before you go out there and spend money on an outside source.
What about, NAR, and everything that they offer, with our...
Absolutely underused, yes.
Underused. I look at all that and I say, well, this is so much material. Obviously Lair is offering so much, have other outside sources as well, and then I'm paying over $500 a year for NAR, and how can I incorporate it into what I'm doing now?
Very easily.
To benefit from it, because
Okay.
there's so much there, and I don't want to
So
spin my
here's
wheels, you know.
so let's say
Why is using it?
let's say you're doing snail mail, and it's not a bad thing, but let's say all you have is names and addresses that your admin will help you pull those streets out. So you're going to make up a marketing strategy for a 6-week campaign to those people. What are you going to do? You're going to offer them information like we saw in this flyer that I did, and then you're going to say, here's my value proposition. Here's what I can offer you that differentiates me from another agent, and I'm going to help you. So let's take that apart in 2 ways. How would you help a seller? And now, I am in love with Pinterest, but it answers your question, John, about NAR. In NAR, in Pinterest, in RIS Media, are all of these things of, if you're getting ready to sell your house, these are the things you want to think about. So what do you want to do is you want to give them the souls of their neighbors, and then you want to help educate them. Because what happens over Christmas? The families get together, they're downsizing, they're upsizing, they're taking the parents in, they're giving up the backyard and swing set and going back to a condo, whatever it is. In January, they say, gee, we're thinking of doing something. You want to help them with the steps. So that's what you're there for, to be a guide and an advisor. And that education can come from NAR. All the resources are there, from Pinterest. If you go into Pinterest and you say, getting ready to sell your house or staging or whatever it is, helping them with the Lair concierge things that we have with stagers and pods and those types of things.
What's a pod?
That thing, the storage thing that you get on your property to clean the house out, you know.
Okay, yeah.
You want to help them along with those thoughts because sometimes it's overwhelming. Okay, now let's do the buyer thing. Again, if you're sending something to lead conversion, are you thinking of buying? Here's the 5 things that you should know if you're thinking of buying a house. Don't buy a boat or a car. You know,
Right.
Get your credit in order. All the different things. You want to help them by being the advisor to give them the information. Right. And those resources, again, Lair has all those resources in there. NAR has some. Pinterest has some. And you can put those into documents or postcards. You could send a postcard, Joe, as you said, and say, if you're thinking of listing your house, here's the 5 things you should do to get your house ready.
Well, for instance,
something like that.
I send out approximately, I would say, 75 roars by mail each month.
Yeah.
Roar comes out, and within it, I attach my business card, and I attach that one of our why Lair.
Excellent.
With it.
Yeah.
And, well, it may be excellent. It hasn't been terribly successful.
And who are you sending it to?
I'm sending it to particular neighborhoods that I have I got 4 books, one from my market, Woburn, Lexington, Winchester, and Burlington, which gives me everybody who lives at every street and their age and their profession. So I basically find a neighborhood that I want to work with, and I'll go through that. And if somebody is in their early 30s, I probably won't send anything to them. But if I see people who are in their 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I definitely send something to them. Now, what I haven't been doing properly is following up the next month with those same people.
Right.
I do a group of people, a group of people, a group of people.
Right.
No definitive follow-up.
So what I would do is pick one, and I say this to brand new agents, pick a neighborhood. This might not be where you stay forever, but pick one for now. So pick one, and then what I would do is, beyond sending them the raw report, do the other things that we've talked about. In January, send them that, would you like to know what 6 things sold in your neighborhood? You know, do that as a flyer to those same 75 people. Then send a postcard, then send something else.
Gotcha.
And any of the flyers that are in Improv, you can print out and mail to those people.
Some of them I've sent to my own relatively my neighborhood, an expanded neighborhood. And it's very discouraging after you've sent out those to a particular street to drive down that street and see other agent signs on the property. Didn't they think about me?
Yeah, oh, I know. That does happen. But again, I think you need to stick to the one neighborhood that you want to focus on and send them like 6 different pieces, not just the rural report, but other things interspersed as well. And say, I'm here for you. This is what I do differently than someone else. And do it that way. As far as mindset, this is another thing. When you're thinking of how you want to maybe restructure your day or restructure next year, the famous saying always is surround yourself with positive people. Change is not going to happen. Change is going to happen. Go all in. Be consistent. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough with any marketing strategy you're going to do or lead follow-up. The lead follow-up can't be call once and let it go. It's got to be 3 or 4 things. Right. Keep following up.
Like building a relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Joe, I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Why would you not send it out to younger people in their 30s and 40s?
Well, it depends upon the neighborhood and what kind of homes are in that neighborhood. It might be something that, it might be a time where people who move into that neighborhood probably just recently moved in because they're younger people.
Right. Do you know what the average
5 to 7 years
time that people own a house or turn over a house?
But it's also, I understand.
So, younger people actually are more apt to move than older people.
Well, the other thing about it is, what did we say in the very beginning? Not being everything to everybody. And if you, we have, Eric Pelletier teaches our NAR designations, and there's the SRES course.
What?
NAR designations.
Oh, NAR designations.
So some people will decide to work with seniors, some with military people, some with millennials. You know, whatever your niche is that you want to work with. We have a lady in our Leominster office who enjoys working with seniors and helping them find assisted living or whatever that is. This piece of paper is a good homework piece of paper to think about structuring your day, structuring your activities. That's a great, just something to think about. Again,
timer.
Yep.
I'd certainly like to do what Stacy does. Get up 2 hours of exercise, an hour of reading, an hour of this. I'm not structured enough to do that.
So when we went to the NAR conference in Boston, Mark Wahlberg was the keynote speaker, and he does business with companies all around the world that are in different time zones. So quite unique. He goes to bed at 6:30 at night and wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And he does half of his business day before his children wake up, and that way he can have breakfast with them and take them to school. I mean, it's unique, but that's his niche, of how he does things. So when you're thinking about how have I conducted my year, what would I like to do differently, time is more precious than money. It's a non-renewable resource. Once you've spent it, and if you've spent it badly, it's gone forever. So you want to think about that. Don't give up. This is why we talked about the now goals. You need to have daily achievements. You need to have weekly achievements, and those will add up to your goals for the entire year. Success is see your goal, understand the obstacles, create a mental picture, clear your mind of self-doubt, embrace the challenge. Whoops, I lost it. Stay on track and show the world that you can do it. This one is really great. John, you'll love this. If you have success in real estate right now, it's because of the work you put in 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's like building a pipeline.
Absolutely.
You know what a pipeline is, Joe?
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. And improv is going to be your best friend for that. Yeah. So the best way to get something done is to begin.
Amen.
So.
It's funny because I, for Thanksgiving, when Lair was talking